Don't worry, I'm recording, so I'll see your reaction if the fence gets you. It'll be great.
Hey guys, my name is Sam Wilshus. I am a pharmacist, although I originally planned to be a mechanical engineer. Anyway, things happen. Right now I'm in my Blackberry patch, and this is a project that took over a year to do. So we're gonna go back to the beginning. I'm gonna show you what it used to look like. We're gonna prune stuff. We're gonna rearrange everything into rows, trellis it, and put in irrigation. And at the end of it, this is it. This is what I'm standing in. Now, it is always going to be a work in progress, so, don't judge too harshly. So here we go. Back to the beginning. The Blackberry patch is pretty awesome, but picking it is proving to be a pain in the butt. The back of my hands are getting all chewed up, simply because it's hard to get at everything. I really need trellises and rows. They're also getting kind of tall. And the reason I need rows is, check it out. There's a ton of space under here, but they all just grow together. And then it's super hard to walk through them. And I've been trying to cut them at 6 feet, but then they put up these additional shoots and they go up to 9 and 10 feet. And another reason I need rows and trellises, the berries are just thick right here. And these plants are shorter. They're more spread out. They're not nearly as tall. And then we have these giant bushes, and they're really only making berries on the top third. And these things are just nuts. If I want to get through, oh man, ow. Oh, good thing I have long hair. They're doing so good. They have well-established root systems. They have massive plants. The shoots they put up every year they'd go 10 feet if I didn't clip them. In fact, they still go 10 feet even when I do clip them. But I got a plan. When we're all done picking berries this year, so about a month and a half, September, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna do things differently and get ready for next year. So yeah, check it out. I'll be back in a little bit. Let me find the biggest, juiciest one I can. Oh, got one. Oh yeah. That one's just been hanging out in the sun. You ready? Try it. Tell me if it's any good.
Really good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that better than the best one, or almost?
I don't know. Basically the same. Tasting. This is pretty sweet. Yeah, only sweet.
All right, I gotta find one here. Oh yeah, right there. This is the best part about picking, is
big, juicy ones.
you get the ones that are soft and like super sweet, and you're like, man, that's gonna get squished if I put it in the bucket.
No,
Problem solved.
You could just eat it.
Gotta be another one here. Oh yeah.
Wow, how did that?
And they're like super sweet. You just can't, you can't risk squishing it.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That was 2 whole buckets. You have like 3 buckets now.
I know. Tons of blackberries, but the current patch, there's a problem. Let me show you. Here, can you hold this? Yeah.
Should have worn long sleeves, I'm telling you. That's how you pick blackberries.
And we need rows.
Okay.
We definitely need rows.
All right.
Yeah.
That is a lot of trash.
There's just a few berries left now. Time to get working on it. Let me just show you what's left of the berries and what I have to do. So there's a few of these late berries left, which are kind of weird. They just kind of pop up. They're not in the normal bunches. Usually the berries will show up in these bunches like this. Yeah, that's interesting. It's only on the really big old plants. There are a few left here, and the bugs are starting to get to them. Most of the plants look like this though. Yeah, not much going on. Pretty much all done. All right, I'm gonna get to work. I gotta clear out all of the second year canes and then trim back this year's. It would be preferred to do this in the spring to let them get through winter, but because our winters are so rough up here, we get like 2 feet of snow, 3 feet of snow on the ground sometimes, and that will crush the canes, break them off, and then we'll get nothing, no berries. So I really have to do maintenance in the fall, otherwise the plants just do not make it through winter in any kind of shape to make berries. So yeah, spring would be better, but up here there's really no choice. Well, there we go. Everything is trimmed to about 6 feet. All the old canes are gone. Wow, look at all these. And this is why last fall I thought, hey, I'll just prune these and I'll be able to walk through, because I'll stake them up, little clusters. Because yeah, you can walk right through here now, no problem. But boy, do they ever bush out later on. So now for the fun part. Now I got to mark everything out and figure out where my rows are going to go.
I didn't get it.
Here, I got one.
Okay. There's a bunch of apples on the ground, Charlotte. You gonna pick them up?
The Blackberry, Raspberry, Warren.
How are those apples?
You want me to get you one?
No, I have an apple picker, so I don't have to climb the tree.
That's fine. Are the crown cherries ripe?
Just be careful.
No.
If you scratch the bark off with your shoes, you'll hurt the tree.
How's that working for you?
Pretty good.
So where are your rows gonna go?
That's the thing now. I need to go in with a shovel, and I'm gonna have to spade out the ones that are not in the rows and move them into the rows. So next up, I'll need to mark out with some stakes and some string.
Sounds like a fun way to spend your vacation day.
Getting all the pokey stuff done now. Like even with gloves. Probably should have worn
You're wearing
long
short
sleeves.
sleeves.
I know. Well, my legs
What did
are
I
pretty
tell
good.
you?
You tell me lots of stuff.
Long sleeves for blackberries, honey.
These big apples. And they taste amazing.
It's unseasonably warm for September, okay?
Oh, your pumpkin's
It is.
gonna like.
Come here, buddy.
Holy cow.
You can do it. Nice.
Everything's been cleared out. got rid of all the brambles. Even, check this out, trimmed all the raspberries that aren't going to be used anymore. And you can kind of see I've started working on rows. Rows are marked, and I moved some raspberries, and there's a natural bit here. So we'll have raspberries on the ends and down here too, save some. Trying to trim them back. I gotta trim them all back a little bit more on some of these. And this row from here on will be blackberries. This was ground cherries. We'll see if that comes back. Here's another row right here and another row marked out right here. So you can see there's a little bit of work to do. One strategy is simply to cut all the plants back out of the rows and let them fill in slowly. It's the end of the season. They appear to be pretty dormant, so I'm going to take these ones that I've trimmed back to canes and put them in the row. If they make it, they make it. If they don't, we'll fill them in over a year or two. I'm spent. This will be all for today. And just a quick recap of where I'm at. Blackberries have been pruned, and the second year canes removed entirely. The first year canes pruned back to under 6 feet and put into rows. I marked out and stringed everything. I'm also finding a few pavers I must have put back in here a long time ago, so we'll have to use those for something. But anyway, everything's been transplanted. I try to get as much root as possible when transplanting because there's lots of sugars and starches and good stuff in there that'll help the plant survive. And now I'm going to run the sprinkler for probably 3 hours, try to soak everything around here. I'll probably do that again tomorrow. I want to watch and make sure that the leaves don't get droopy and hopefully just maintain them. I got about a month and a half before it gets too cold. So they are dormant, but not all the way dormant. Here's everything that was removed. That's quite a bit. But that's how much growth we get every year. Maybe more next year, hopefully. Huh. Okay. 8 posts to go. All right, made it up to the handles. That was my goal. I would like the post to lean this way, about 2 inches at the top, so I can tension it back to vertical. I think the best way to do that is to just start filling in a little bit. And this is all sand here. Any of our good garden dirt was brought in. At this point, probably 25, 30 yards of compost has been brought into the garden to fortify it. Okay. That looks real good. Now, if I remember correctly, my water line is nowhere near. There we go. I think most of this is going to be eyeballing. For the trellis system, I'm going to use stainless cable. Now, the reason I have this stuff, 1/8 inch 3/16 stainless, is because I used it on the chicken coop. So over on the chicken coop, there's this netting that is covering the yard, or the goose and waterfowl area. That netting is supported by the stainless cable to give it more structure and help it resist heavy snow. So I have a bunch of leftover materials. Oh yeah, blackberries and digging. Anyway, so leftover material, I still have a snippers. These are the new fasteners I'm going to use. They're just super simple. You just crimp it, drill a hole, screw it in. One is forward thread, one is reverse thread. Some drill bits and a drill, and a hydraulic crimper. And the important thing here is you'll see 2 different colors. These guys, which often come with it, are softer steel. They're only good for copper. These black ones are hardened. These can crimp stainless. If you don't have the right ones, it will not crimp and it will deform these guys. So, real important thing to note. And that is the tools. Over for the layout, I have a piece of conduit. I have measured from the top. We're gonna go 6 inches, then a 12, 12, and 12, and end up starting about 30 inches off the ground. I am marking this conduit piece because I can just stick it in the ground, use it as a straight edge, a story stick, and just drill the holes without having to measure and mark on each pole. That should make things very consistent. And my reference point is the double line at the top. That's where I will start all my measurements from. Just a quick recap, all of these posts are dug about 4 feet or just short of 4 feet in the ground. We get some pretty serious frost up here, some pretty serious snow loads. I want these things to be stable. Also, with the cable, I'm going to tension them pretty good. So heavy duty poles, slightly tilted. We'll pull them back into vertical here in a minute. Left and right. So one of each for each cable. Looks about right. What's nice on these poles, the way they slice them, these tooth marks from the machine make a reference line of sorts, so really helpful for drilling the same spot. This drill bit is complete garbage. I'll be right back. Crimping is pretty straightforward. It's going to go in that far. It's nice to test to see how deep these are. So there we go. This should be all set up. Everything looks good and lined up. And then it's just a matter of holding the cable in all the way and crunch. There we go. That's not ever coming apart. Trimming and digging is fun, but this is my thing. These screws, I have 4 inches of thread combined. The cable inserts 1.5 inches. I thread one side in 3/4 of an inch. On the opposite side, I'll pull it as tight as possible and measure 2 inches from the post. Probably going to do a bit of eyeballing. And now for a test fit. Feels weird going backwards. Reverse thread. All right. I've been tightening at both ends here. And boy, that is lovely and tight. And we're about back to vertical. Awesome. 3 more to go. Now, the easiest way that I've found to get uniform length cables is to take a clamp and clamp it to a cable that is already of a known length, correct length, and drop it. Shit. I mean, you need a better clamp. Clamp upgrade. The more tension I can pull on it, the more accurate length I can cut. So, and there we go, and mark it out. Looks good, not a lot of sag. I can go ahead and cut this. Well, looks like gonna have to finish on another day. Got pretty far though. Well, I almost had enough cable. Actually, no, I wasn't even close. Trying to use up leftovers, because when you have to buy 500 feet of cable and you only need like 200 feet, you got more for projects. But looks like I'm gonna have to buy another 500 feet and have more for projects in the future. So yay, more projects. Anyway, these turned out really nice. And as far as the thread go, there's 2 inches of thread. If you get 3/4 of an inch in the post, there's no way it's coming out. That's kind of the minimum or the goal in my mind for this situation. I was able to achieve that on all these. But here's what I have so far. I have 2 strands on the bottom corner here. So it felt good to start getting this row in shape. This row needs cable. This row needs cable. The short rows where I started are done. So that one is all done. And that one is all done. and I think they look really good. So I'm super happy with how this is going, and as disappointed as I am to not be finishing right now, I am more than happy to take a break and go eat lunch and order some parts. Hey guys, it is May 3rd of 2024 and the blackberries look fantastic. Everything that was transplanted made it through winter. They're all showing new growth. They all look really strong. And yeah, no damage from winter, no critters got in the garden. Everything looks fantastic. So super excited with the early spring. This might be a record year for us. So I will check back in a bit, but right now things look really good. Good morning. I got a quick update on the patch. The rows are doing well, and you can see lots of new growth. The canes this year, the Prima canes, have been trimmed at about 6 feet, and that has caused them to make branches. So bunches of branches. Those branches will be great for making fruit on year 2, because the second year canes produce fruit. This year the fruit is easily accessible, and there are some nice berries shaping up here. All right, looking real good. I'm gonna start picking these soon. There's just a few, and hopefully in a week or two we'll be coming down here and picking a gallon at a time. Right. This is the last update. Let me show you how everything has gone, and I'll share my thoughts with how it went. We have very sandy soil, very light, and we've been in kind of a drought lately. There are a few blackberry plants that have kind of suffered. I trimmed them at 6 feet when I transplanted. I probably should have cut them much lower. Some of these areas in the sandy soil, I probably could have cut the canes at about 3 feet. It looks like they might have died out. And some of the new growth is a little small, but it's still present, but not quite as large as I would like in this part. Then again, these plants were here, they were not transplanted, and they are already kind of short. So this part of the garden simply might not be the best for blackberries. Whereas up at the top, there are some very large plants. One advantage now that there are rows is that they're much easier to irrigate and feed. There was recently an end of season sale on some drip line. I will be putting these throughout the entire patch, and I'll see if I can't get the lower part to look like the upper part. And just a quick note on drip irrigation. You'll see something called soaker hose often in the garden center. It's like a porous rubber hose. Don't ever buy that. That stuff is complete garbage. It will clog very quickly, lasts maybe 2 to 3 years before it starts to fall apart. It's really just a waste of money. Never buy soaker hose. Only buy drip irrigation. I learned that the hard way, and since converting to the drip irrigation, we've had much, much better results and a lot fewer headaches. And it will cost us a lot less in the long run. Now the stuff I picked up here is Rainbird Professional. The stuff I have throughout the patch is Rainbird. It's 1/2 inch. It has 0.9 gallon per hour emitters spaced every 12 inches. An advantage of having the drip line is that now I can use liquid fertilizer in the tank and then plug it in and feed the blackberry patch. How awesome is that?
What do I think?
They're adjustable.
I think you're a nerd.
Okay. All right, we're at the end of the video, and I just want to go over kind of a recap of this whole experience. Overall, I'm very happy with how it went. There's not much that I would do differently. The only thing that I would do differently is to put the irrigation lines in, the drip lines, in June. That way I could irrigate through the whole summer. The roots that were transplanted in the fall then would have optimum moisture to put down big roots all summer. And because blackberries are biannuals, they will grow the new cane this year that has to make it through winter. That's kind of why we trellis, so they don't fall over. And that cane on this second year will produce all of the fruit. Now, the rootstocks that I planted that didn't get quite perfect conditions, they don't have very large canes this year, prima canes. So they're not going to be very large plants next year for making fruit. That's kind of the downside of if you have a bad year one year, it might carry over to the next. If I had more water, maybe fertilized them after that transplant, I might have been able to beef up my production for next year. Now, as far as this year goes, we're at about a third. So for disrupting over half the patch and moving things around, having about a third the production of last year when everything was established for multiple years, I'm very happy with that. Now, I think next year is going to be close to last year's production, the record. But then after that, I don't think there's going to be any stopping it. I think it's going to be better than ever, and we're just going to keep going like that. So yeah, that's a wrap. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got blackberry patches, any tips or comments like that, throw them at me. And yeah, till next time. That's just so amazing. Dirt, water, and sunlight.